few words of introduction for Reverend Konkol. Hope?
Thank you so much, Lori. Good evening. My name is Hope Johnson, and I am a senior religious studies and Spanish double major with a minor in business here at Valpo. And like Lori said, thank you all so much for joining us. We're so glad to see you and that you have an important history with Valparaiso University. As a current student, it is so great to know that I have so much support from so many alumni, and I am looking forward to when I graduate and get to be a part of this amazing network as well. And I also just recently accepted um, to start a Master's of Divinity program at Yale Divinity School. So I'm excited about that too. And at this time, without further ado, I would like to introduce tonight's speaker and Valparaiso University's 20th president, Reverend Brian Konkol.
Thank you, Hope.
Reverend Brian Konkol, oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, please. I was going to congratulate you on Yale. Please, go ahead.
Thank you. Started his tenure as president on January 1st this year. Since day one, he has truly immersed himself in this community life on campus. And for him to truly been understanding the Valpo experience, if you've been to a game or a concert or another campus event, there is a very good chance you've seen his trademark bow tie in the crowd. More than being present, Reverend Konkol has been exceptionally enthusiastic about working with every member of the campus community and especially students to expand on what he has named the roots and reach of our university so that together we can continue to make Valpo a champion of higher education. Reverend Konkol comes to us after a long history of leadership, service, and faith. His success in university administration and his passionate service in the Lutheran Church, here and abroad, have made him an excellent leader to guide our university and embody everything that Valpo stands for. So please join me in welcoming Valparaiso University's 20th president, Reverend Brian Konkol.
Hope, thank you so much, and congratulations on your acceptance to Yale Divinity School. Absolutely wonderful. Good evening, everyone in the Valparaiso University campus community. It is such a joy to be with you. This is what I'm going to be going over for the next few minutes after our welcome. I'm going to share a little bit about what I believe about leadership. And then we're going to talk about building momentum here at Valpo during this important time. I'm going to introduce the direction in which we find ourselves these days through a strategic mission compass and some action items that are taking place here in Northwest Indiana. And then, of course, we'll get to your questions. So again, thank you so much for all being here during this special Holy Week. I wish you all the fullness of God's blessings. So when I get asked about what I feel about leadership, one of my favorite metaphors that I like to share is the metaphor of a thermostat. And when I think about a thermostat, I think about growing up in central Wisconsin at Nelsonville Lutheran Church. It became very clear very early on who the power holder was in that local congregation. It was not the pastor. It was not even the president of the church council. It, of course, was the person who controlled the thermostat, especially in November and March. What occurred to me was that people are thermostats. People set conditions. People change the temperatures of the rooms in which they find themselves. Every person on this call knows this to be true. Every person on this call knows those individuals who come into a room with energy and with enthusiasm and with passion, and they change the temperature. We also know the others who come into a space with negativity, and they too change the temperature. So much of what we think about leadership is not about being thermometers that just take the temperature, but it's about being thermostats that change the temperature. That's what I believe to be true about leadership. That's what I believe my role in God's calling is for me as the next president of Valparaiso University. So the question becomes, how do we do this, especially in the midst of adversity? For those that follow higher education here in 2026, we know that we are in a time of significant adversity. Demographic cliff, demographic shift, questions around the value and values of higher education. And so when I think about leadership in the time of adversity and being a thermostat, I want to share with you 4 words that you see on your screen that I think is part of the opportunity that we have here at Valparaiso University. Number 1, whenever we're facing adversity, this is an opportunity for us to receive clarity. Everyone on this call knows what this is like. When you have been through times of challenge in your life, things become more clear. You find out who your friends are, you find out what is important to you. As I like to think, lottery winners are very popular. But when you're going through challenges, you find out very clear who is important, and what matters most. In this time of adversity for higher education, this is an opportunity for us at Valparaiso University to become clear about our mission. And as we become clear about our mission, we also have an opportunity to be creative with our methods. Clarity of mission, creativity of methods. I think back to March of 2020 when the COVID-19 pandemic started, and all of a sudden we were all forced to do things that maybe we had not done before. Creativity. That's why they say when your back is up against the wall or when you get thrown into the deep end of the pool, desperation is often the most fertile soil for innovation. And in this time of adversity in higher education throughout North America, we have an opportunity to be clear about our mission, creative with our methods, and of course, build coalitions. Opportunity to bind together with others who care deeply about educating the next generation of students. Community partners, alumni who are on this call, parents, and so on and so on. These alliances of discontent that form during times of adversity that want to fill the gap between the world that is and the world that ought to be. Clarity of mission, creativity of methods, coalitions, and of course, calls to action. In times of adversity, it is not just simply a time to think about it and talk about it. It is a time for us to do something about it. And we feel that call to action here at Valparaiso University. And so we are in a time of adversity, but we can take a great deal of inspiration from someone who knew a great deal about being a thermostat in times of adversity. We're reminded of Martin Luther himself, who, while translating the Bible from Latin into German, also faced a time such as this. Adversity, clarity, creativity, coalitions, call to action, and the impact of leading during a time of tremendous adversity was, of course, translating the Bible into German, a revolutionary moment which continues to impact us to this day, 500 years later. Luther himself knew how to be a thermostat in the time of adversity. He was clear about his mission. He was creative with his methods. He formed coalitions. He was called to action. And we are all blessed because of that impact. Because Luther knew that before you get to what and before you examine how, it always starts with why. That wonderful book by Simon Sinek, who came with that wonderful TED Talk to accompany it, it does start with why. And Luther started with why by translating that Bible into the German language, because ultimately I believe that Luther was seeking to bring good news to the world and as a result, to build lives for good. His why inspired his how, his who, his where, his what, and his when. And we too, that care deeply about Valpo, can take inspiration from the leadership lessons that Martin Luther himself gives to us in our own time of adversity. We can receive clarity. We can receive creativity. We can build coalitions. We too can be called to action to have a remarkable impact because we too can start with our why. So we're on this Zoom call, and this is an opportunity for you to contribute. When we think about our why, please feel free to type into that Q&A part of your Zoom call. Why do you believe Valparaiso University exists? At its very core, why? Before we talk about the who, before we talk about the how, before you talk about the when and the where, why? I'd love to hear from you. Please type it into the chat. Why does Valparaiso University exist? Take a few moments. Can already see some responses here. Developing leaders for both church and society to be a light in the world, forming students and values so they can impact the world, to be lights of God's love for one another. This is fantastic. Please keep them coming in. We're going to take a look. As we start about why, I want to share with you some thoughts that I've been having. Here's our mission statement here for Valparaiso University at the top of the screen in italics. Valparaiso University, a community of learning dedicated to excellence and grounded in the Lutheran tradition of scholarship, freedom, and faith, prepares students to lead and serve in both church and society. If I were to consolidate those wonderful words just into 5, I would say we build lives for good. This is what we do. This is why we exist. We build lives for good. And as we think about our mission, our why, that will inform our who, our where, our what, and our how. And as we think about building lives for good, we're helping our students. We're helping them to learn for life. We're helping them to serve our world. And we're helping them to shine God's light. That is the way in which we become a thermostat, not just as leaders, but as a university. Because we believe fundamentally that the world needs more Valpo University graduates. So how do we do this? One of the words that we've been talking about a great deal here on campus is building momentum. Momentum. Momentum that continues to build and build and build and build and build. So I want to talk about this for just a moment here. Just like the image in front of you, sometimes something that starts small with effort and with a sense of community, we can grow something pretty spectacular. So I'd like to do is share one of the videos that I've been sharing a significant amount here on our campus community about how it is that we build momentum here. So for those of you that could give me a technology prayer, this would be the time to do it, because I'm going to click on this link and I'm going to hope and pray that this little video gets started for us here in a moment. Give me one moment, please.
So ladies and gentlemen, at TED we talk a lot about leadership and how to make a movement. So let's watch a movement happen, start to finish, in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons from it. First, of course you know, a leader needs the guts to stand out and be ridiculed. But what he's doing is so easy to follow. So here's his first follower with a crucial role. He's going to show everyone else how to follow. Now notice that the leader embraces him as an equal. So now it's not about the leader anymore, it's about them, plural. Now there he is calling to his friends. Now if you notice that the first follower is actually an underestimated form of leadership in itself. It takes guts to stand out like that. The first follower is what transforms a lone nut into a leader. And here comes a second follower. Now it's not a lone nut, it's not 2 nuts, 3 is a crowd, and a crowd is news. So a movement must be public. It's important to show not just the leader, but the followers, because you find that new followers emulate the followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, and immediately after, 3 more people. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point. Now we've got a movement. So notice that as more people join in, it's less risky. So those that were sitting on the fence before now have no reason not to. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, but they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. So over the next minute, you'll see all of the those that prefer to stick with the crowd, because eventually they would be ridiculed for not joining in. And that's how you make a movement. But let's recap some lessons from this. So first, if you are the type, like the shirtless dancing guy, that is standing alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals. So it's clearly about the movement, not you. Okay, but we might have missed the real lesson here. The biggest lesson, if you noticed, did you catch it? Is that leadership is over-glorified. That yes, it was the shirtless guy was first, and he'll get all the credit, but it was really the first follower that transformed the lone nut into a leader. So as we're told that we should all be leaders, that would be really ineffective. If you really care about starting a movement, have the courage to follow and show others how to follow. And when you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first one to stand up and join in. And what a perfect place to do that, TED. Thanks.
Momentum. Momentum. One of the important aspects we've been talking about at university life here at Valpo is that momentum is about movement and it's about direction. And here's one of my favorite metaphors that you see in front of you is that as a runner myself, I'm reminded that I can run outside, I can also run on a treadmill. In both of these images in front of you, you become tired. But only in one of these images have you actually gone somewhere. So as we think about how we do what we do here at Valparaiso University, it's ensuring that our processes are not treadmill processes, but they're running on the road processes. So that which we do is done well, and it's not just simply movement, it's not just activity, but it's momentum, and it's about momentum in the movement of our direction. That's the momentum we're building here at Valpo right now, is that we're moving in the direction of our mission, the mission that we just articulated a moment ago, where we're building lives for good. And what that means for us in this moment is I want to share a book that I wrote in one of my email reflections a few weeks ago, and it needs to be re-articulated here. And my apologies for those on this call that might be Atlanta Falcons fans, and my apologies for those who do not like the New England Patriots. I apologize. One of my favorite books in recent memories is this one here, The New Science of Momentum. The book was inspired by the Super Bowl, which you see the score here, that in the third quarter as the Falcons were up 28-3, and all of a sudden at the end of that game when the Patriots have one of the greatest comebacks in professional sports history, there's a moment at the very end where the broadcasters say, "We just watched momentum change jerseys." The day after that Super Bowl, Don Yeager goes into his research assistants at Florida State University. He asks his team of students, "Is momentum real?" And over the course of the next few years, they research sports, politics, organizations, corporate life, and they study how is it that momentum builds? How is it that negative momentum stops? How is it that positive momentum is sparked and sustained? He partnered with Barnard Banks and Karen Cyphers, as you can see on the book cover, and they produced this book, The New Science of Momentum. And this, I believe, is a moment that we find ourselves here at Valparaiso University, as we have an opportunity to build momentum. I want to hear from you in the chat another time here. Is momentum is not necessarily a 25-point touchdown, but oftentimes momentum is a 5-yard run, a 10-yard run, something that allows to build over time. So maybe there's something that you have seen at Valparaiso University that you want to bring some attention to. Maybe it's we see positive momentum in the chemistry department. Maybe you see it in the chapel. Maybe you see it in alumni engagement. Whatever it is, where do you see positive momentum in the direction of our mission happening here? This is a time for us to affirm the good that is already happening in our midst. I'd love to hear from you. Let's take a moment here to put it in the chat here. I see relationships. This is wonderful. Lenten Faith Partners. Wow, what a wonderful contribution here. Thank you. Let's hear more of it here. Christ College, alums. I'm looking at your chat here. This is absolutely wonderful. Student life, student attendance at athletic events. Roger Powell. Peer ministers. This is wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much. This is wonderful. It's good for us to point out so much of what the good is already that's happening here. Because this is the fun part about this book. After Don Yeager and his associates studied this Super Bowl, they pinpointed one particular play, and this is when Tom Brady, the legendary quarterback, scrambles for an 11-yard first down. They're down 28-3. He runs for an 11-yard first down. And for those of us that know football would know that Tom Brady is not the fleetest of foot. But when he gets that first down, it sends a message to everyone else on that team to say, let's build on this. They didn't need to score a 25-point play. They just needed to scramble for 11 yards. And that's what we're doing here at Valpo right now. We're seeing and celebrating those opportunities, those people, those relationships, those different matters that you just wrote into the chat that we can build upon so that we continue to build momentum. And again, momentum is about movement, and it's about movement in the direction of our mission. And this is, I'm going to slide to the next part of the presentation. Oftentimes in leadership, we talk about having a strategic plan. What we're doing right off the bat here is thinking about a strategic compass. Why a compass? Because we are in a time of adversity in higher education. We are in a time of adversity at Valparaiso. And you need a compass to direct you during the storms. Every single person on this call knows what that is like. So imagine we have a compass that is supposed to lead us in the direction of our mission. And I want to propose to you as an alumni group and parents and faculty and staff and students and all who are on this call is when I think about the true north of a Lutheran university, I think of this image right here. Roots and reach. One of the aspects that makes a Lutheran university unlike any other university in the world is that it has both roots and reach. Like the tree in front of you, Valparaiso University has to grow in two directions. It needs to deepen its Lutheran roots and it needs to widen its public reach. Why? Because roots without reach never gets above ground. Reach without roots eventually withers and dies. During the registration, I saw many of you respond to say, what are you going to do about our Lutheran heritage? What are you going to do about our Lutheran identity? I also read your comments about how is it that Valpo is going to innovate for the future and reach more students with enrollment and our budget situation. To me, it is the recognition that one of the treasures of the Lutheran tradition is the word and, that in a world that often tries to push us into either or, Lutherans say both and. We can be rooted and reaching. And that, I believe, is our true north. When we are believers in our mission, when we are fearless reformers of our methods, and when we are committed to the education of the whole person, that, I would argue, is our true north, our why, our mission, the north in which we are directed in the storms of higher education today. But we can't just name what north looks like. We also have to name what west, east, and south looks like, because it is tempting to fall off course. We also have to name and claim those times as institutions where maybe we are seeking reach and we forget about our roots. And I share this slide as an opportunity for us to hold each other accountable. If there are ever times in the years ahead where we seek popularity instead of principle, where we become distracted instead of disciplined, where we maybe expand without a foundation, we need to bring ourselves back to north instead of veering west. We also need to think about East, which is roots without reach, where we have conviction without connection, where we protect the institution instead of developing our mission, where we have tradition without traction. Roots without reach doesn't get above ground. And just as we need to hold each other accountable when maybe we veer west, we also need to hold each other accountable when we veer east. And of course, those times where we as an institution and as a community go south, where we have no roots and where we have no reach, where we're unclear, we're insecure, we're divided, we're drifting, we're distrusting, we're despairing. As we consider the next chapter of Valparaiso University, imagine that compass in our hands, where together, in the midst of the storms of higher education, in the midst of the storms of our nation, of our world, of our personal lives, that together we help each other to move north. And during those moments where we might be tempted to veer west, east, or south, together we move in the direction that God has called us to move. Together in this next chapter of Valparaiso University, our compass is going to help us to deepen our roots, and it's going to help us to widen our reach, both and not either or. That, to me, is how we are faithful and fruitful as a Lutheran institution in the year 2026 and beyond. And our compass is meant to keep us on track. And as we develop that compass, what we've done as a leadership team here at Valparaiso University is to consider, how is it that we ensure we are moving in that direction? What are the signposts, if you will, that help us to ensure we are traveling north? In conversation with our board of directors, we started with 12 actions, as you can see on the screen in front of you, a variety of attributes that helps us to build momentum in the direction of our mission, that helps us to go north and not west, east, and south. 12's a lot. And so we thought, how is it that we start with those that are going to have the most impact in terms of the immediate future? And as I think about prioritizing, I think of this image here. And I ask for you to just allow me to share just a very quick story. This image here in front of you is a cinder block wall, and it reminds me of my very first job working construction with my father in high school. My father put me on a job where I was asked to knock out a brick wall. This is what you give to people with very little skills. I remember holding that maul in my hand and starting to smash out that first brick wall. And it occurred to me after about 30 minutes that one need not smash the entire wall. All someone needs to do is find strategic points on that wall. And if you knock those out, then gravity can begin to take care of the rest. Momentum. In a very similar way, instead of trying to navigate 12 different priorities all at once, the question becomes, what are the spots that we need to knock out of the wall, metaphorically, that are going to build the momentum, energy, and gravity to take care of our other priorities? So here's where we're at. You'll see on the left, I would say, are strategies. On the right, I would say culture. Because we know when we are developing institutions, there's strategic planning and there's also culture cultivation. I'll start on the left-hand side. Number one, in the middle of the circle, it's telling our story. Telling our story. And if you see corresponding to the right side of your screen, it's a culture of proclamation. I'd like to start here because I think this is absolutely critical for us in this next chapter of Valparaiso University. Yes, I am a preacher, and I've been trained to give good news from a pulpit. That is part of my training. And I would ask that we bring that same mindset for all of us as we care deeply about Valparaiso University, because we believe the world needs more Valpo graduates. We believe that Valparaiso University is good news from the world, which therefore means we should find the metaphorical pulpits in all of our lives to share about Valparaiso University. And to be clear, it's not waiting for the subject of higher education to come up. It's not waiting for someone to ask. It's about sharing the good news. It's about saying, I care about this so deeply that I can't not talk about it. It's doing it in a way that allows us to be confident, to be clear, and to be compelling about our story, to saying we have Lutheran roots, we have a public reach. Now, I share this with a great deal of humility. I am a Lutheran from the Midwest, and I know we can sometimes be shy people. I would say, if you have good news to share, we have a responsibility to share that good news, where we cannot not talk about it. So one of the things that I'm going to ask all of you to do today at the end of this call is, whether you do it tonight or whether you do it tomorrow morning, I would ask that you go on your Facebook accounts, your Twitter accounts, your Instagram, and I want you to talk about your love for Valparaiso University. Think about the people that we have on this call and the people that you have the opportunity to reach, where all of a sudden within 24 hours, we have thousands and thousands and thousands of people who are hearing about the special place that is Valparaiso University. It's about telling that story. It's telling that story, and it's doing so in a way that is reaching people where they're at. So number one, telling our story is about being clear and compelling, but also doing so in ways in which we are reaching our prospective students through the methodologies in which they are being reached. That, of course, is online platforms, digital, social media, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and so on and so on and so forth. But I do believe that it starts with telling our story. This culture of proclamation where we cannot not talk about all the good that is happening here. Number one. Number two, what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about enrollment at the top of the screen, enrollment and retention. And I would say this is building a culture of invitation and also a culture of belonging. First, when we talk about enrollment, to me, it's about that which we are enrolling students into. And that is our mission. That is our vision. That is our values. And that starts with us having an outstanding first year class here in the fall of 2026. I am so grateful to our Senior Vice President, Leanne Hughes, and her team, who are doing an outstanding job. Our campus visits have been incredible. We've been receiving deposits. I feel incredibly excited about the momentum in enrollment in which we are having right now. We are, in many ways, providing personal attention to each and every student, recognizing that each and every student is sacred, each and every life is holy. Leanne and her team have done an amazing job of out-personalizing everyone else. And by being clear that there is no other university like Valparaiso University. And because the world needs more Valpo graduates, we have a responsibility to build a culture of invitation and to invite students into our midst. And once they are here, ensuring that those students belong here. And that's where we talk about retention. Our retention numbers here at Valparaiso University have significant room for growth. One of the strategies that we're looking at right now is ensuring, from academic affairs to student life, that we are coordinated and that we are ensuring that students who may be struggling for a variety of different reasons, whether it's academic, financial, personal, that we are proactively engaging those students and that we are educating on financial literacy, that we are educating on mental health, and that we are focused on commuter students, first generation students, students who might be going through a sophomore slump, if you will. Enrollment and retention, a culture of invitation, a culture of belonging. The next I want to talk about is our fundraising, and that's a culture of philanthropy. And again, this is connected to telling our story. Whenever someone asks me about fundraising, I share with them two things. I say, number one, look, I'm a minister and my people have been passing offering plates for 2,000 years. This is very natural. And it's a joy because at its best, fundraising is not about asking donors for something. It is about offering donors something. We offer alumni, partners, parents, friends of this university, we offer an opportunity to contribute to something that is deeply meaningful and has an impact. Already over the last several months, we have seen tremendous momentum, new gifts from folks who have never given before to Valparaiso University. We have seen momentum of those who have given in the past and have not given in the recent past and are now giving again. We see tremendous momentum from those who are considering significant principal gifts. It's an exciting time. And of course, we do invite each and every one of you to consider making a gift on Valpo Day, which we'll talk a little bit more about here in the end. Excuse me. Fundraising. The next piece I want to talk about is budget viability at the bottom of your screen. And this is a culture of stewardship. We believe in being honest and transparent about the budget realities that we have faced here at Valpo over the last 5 to 10 years. As I'm sure most of you know on this call, when you have an enrollment decrease, you receive a financial challenge. And we have navigated those challenges. And part of the reason why we're excited about the support we are building is we do now see a bridge for these next 2 to 3 years, which will continue to be challenging, but we can see the path forward. I want to give thanks to our interim CFO, Mary Frances McCourt, for her outstanding work, who've been helping us to develop budget frameworks, not just for this next fiscal year, not just over the next 3 years, but asking the bigger questions about who are we and what is it that we stand for and where is it that we see that we're going. The next, I want to talk about enhanced revenue generation, and this is a culture of growth. There are tremendous opportunities for us as we think about being rooted and reaching. How is it that we can be innovative? For example, opportunities to explore what should we or should we not do with online education? What should we or should we not do with learners who are beyond just the age of 18 to 22? What should we do beyond just bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees? Having an opportunity to pause and to ask deeper questions. Corporate partnerships, foundation partnerships. To be rooted in reaching is to have a sense of values and also from those values creating opportunities to be creative. So when we pull all this together, that central piece of sharing our story, this culture of proclamation, it's cultivating a culture of growth and invitation and belonging and philanthropy and stewardship with particular strategies related to enrollment, retention, fundraising, budget viability, and enhanced revenue generation. And we are excited about these next couple years. And this is the moment that we find ourselves in. And this is the opportunity that I invite each and every one of you into, is to help us to turn the dial for this next chapter of Valparaiso University. To give you a final metaphor about our lovely thermostat in front of you here is, I imagine that each and every one of you has a temperature that you enjoy to set your home to. Maybe you like 68 degrees, maybe you like 70, maybe you like 72, whatever it is. I would imagine that if someone snuck into your home and turned that dial just 2 degrees, you would notice. As we build momentum, I invite all of us to put our hands on the dial and turn just a little bit towards proclaiming this good news that we have here at Valparaiso University, turning the dial just a little bit towards stewardship, philanthropy, and so on, and so on, and so on. And I can assure you that it will change the trajectory of what it is that we're doing here. I know we've been receiving a number of questions here. I'm going to grab, I want to thank, there's a number of people here on campus who are helping me with this call, and I've been receiving a number of questions in your registration. and also here in real time. And I'm going to do my best now in our time remaining to get through some of these questions. So please give me a moment here as I look through some of these questions. The first, I'm going to bracket a couple of these together here. I see questions about our mascot. I see questions about the law school, questions about art, and questions about program closures. So let me respond to all these as one. When I was announced as the next president of Valpo in early December, number one, I was amazed by the passion of the Valpo campus community. You all found my Syracuse email address in about 15 minutes. It started sharing with me your suggestions. And from the very beginning, I heard about the mascot, I heard about the law school, I heard about the sale of art, and I heard about program closures. And I want to share with you my response. Number one, I want to recognize that it's not that we don't like change, it's just that we don't like loss. And when I hear the passion that you have, and when I hear about the pain that you've experienced through various changes, I have a responsibility to respond with empathy and to acknowledge loss that people have experienced. There's a saying that people don't like change. I disagree. I think that it's that we don't like loss. And oftentimes with change, there is loss. What I've also heard from you is, in addition to whatever decisions get made, there's a desire for transparency around those decisions. And I want you to hear me say that I've heard that, and that as we think about the years ahead, and inevitably the challenging decisions that will come in the years ahead, you have my commitment to be transparent and to communicate. And also, as we consider decisions in the years ahead, I would ask that you continue to hold myself accountable, this university accountable, and all of us accountable to make sure that we are acting as an expression of our values, the values that I just articulated a moment ago. I think whether it's institutions or whether it's our personal lives, we are either acting as an expression of our values or we are acting in response to our fears. And my reading of the gospel over and over and over again is a Jesus Christ that says, do not be afraid. I, of course, can't change the past, and I would ask that we follow one of the favorite quotes of my life, and that's, maybe we should stop hoping for a better past. And we can learn from our past, we can grow from our past, and I would ask that we move forward together. And we do so by having empathy for each other, by listening to each other, by communicating transparently with each other, and ultimately moving forward together. The next question I have in front of me here is around budget, which is important. You heard me articulate this a moment ago. A couple budget realities. Number one, with the enrollment decrease over the last 10 years, as a tuition-driven institution, that has created a challenging fiscal situation. Number two, with the closing of the law school, which was a significant revenue generator for the university, that has created a challenge. And number three, with a significant decrease in our international students and therefore our graduate students. Those three elements alone have created a significant budget deficit. The good news is that our board of directors, our senior leadership team, in conversation with countless others, we have built a plan to bridge these next few years to put the university on solid footing, not just simply to survive, but to thrive and to be a blessing for our students for generations to come. And I am incredibly confident about our path forward. And we will need your help. We will need your help by giving us your prayers, by giving us your belief in this place. Yes, by making your financial contributions. And yes, by telling anyone you can about why they should send their son, their daughter, their neighbor, their grandchild to Valparaiso University. I'm very confident. The next one I want to share, what's my greatest joy? This is fun. Your greatest joy and challenge. Well, it's probably the same thing. As you've heard, I've been staying in the residence halls over the last few months. And uh, it's been both a joy and a challenge. I am a middle-aged man, and living in a residence hall, I thought those days may have been gone years ago. And it's been a wonderful joy to have students knock on the door, invite me to play ping pong at 10 o'clock at night, to sit in the lounge and to share stories. It's been wonderful to be on the turf of our students and to hear directly from our students about their experience, about their suggestions, about their questions. It's been absolutely wonderful. And I've enjoyed the challenge, if you will, of putting aside the creature comforts maybe that I've developed over a couple decades and to simply be and to exist in that environment. It's been a real joy. Uh, and someone asked, how would you compare them to those available to students at Syracuse? Thanks for that question that I can see here. Um, well, first of all, I never stayed in the dorms in Syracuse, so I didn't have that experience. But here's what I would say about the experience in Valpo. Uh, it reminds me of the very first Sunday school song that I learned from my mother. Is it's never really about the building, it's about the people. And it doesn't mean we don't want excellent facilities. We want excellent facilities. But ultimately, a residence hall is made special because of the people inside of it. And those students are absolutely special. And I have deeply enjoyed the opportunity to stay in the residence halls over these past few months and in the couple months ahead. Oh, this is a fun one. Why do you wear bow ties? Okay, I figured this one would come up, and I will give you the story. As some of you have read my bio, you would know that I spent just under 10 years working for the Lutheran Church Global Mission. And it was about 10 years of wearing a t-shirt and shorts most days. And when we were moving back to the United States, I was actually in the Johannesburg airport and bought GQ magazine, which I don't think I'd ever purchased in my entire life. Don't ask me why I purchased GQ, I just did. And I remember reading this article about style and about brand and about people hear what they see and so on and so forth. It was a fascinating article, and there was a picture of a man wearing a bow tie. And I thought, there it is. So the idea was hatched, and when that plane landed back in the United States, I decided that I was going to be a bow tie guy, and it's never stopped. So there's the question there. How did you learn about Valpo and why did you apply? Oh, that's a great question. Well, it starts in my childhood. My father's side of the family is Catholic. My mother's side of the family is Lutheran. Mom won, as moms tend to do. So I grew up in the Lutheran Church. And having half of your family Catholic and half of your family Lutheran growing up in the Midwest, for me, meant you had half of your family cheering for Notre Dame and you had the other half of your family cheering for Valparaiso University. So I grew up cheering for Coach Homer Drew. I grew up being inspired by those teams that helped underdogs of all ages to believe that anything is possible. So I've loved Valparaiso University from the time I was a small child. So then the question always comes up, then why did you not attend Valparaiso University? It's a very simple response. I wanted to play basketball in college. I was not good enough to play for Homer Drew. And as a result, I went somewhere else. What happened over the years, whether it was my classmates at Luther Seminary, several of which who were Valpo graduates, it was during my time in Guyana, South Africa, Gustavus Adolphus College, Syracuse. At each stop of my journey, I kept intersecting with Valparaiso people and Valpo programs. I remember in Guyana experiencing a music ministry of a pastor that was a Valparaiso University graduate. I remember South Africa visiting scholars. It was always there. And a little over a year ago, when President Padilla announced his retirement, I have to tell all of you, my heart skipped a beat. It skipped a beat. And I felt that this might finally be the time where I could come to Valparaiso University. And as it happens, you go through the search process, and I couldn't be more grateful. It's a dream come true to be serving this community. It's a dream come true. When I handed in my letter of interest, my application, if you will, the very first line I wrote, I've been writing this letter for 25 years. And that's how I feel about this place. I love this place. I love what this place stands for. It is not just my job, it is my calling. And I promise each and every one of you, you are going to get my very best, my very best. And so I really appreciate that question that came in. I'm going to look over here to my colleagues here. One more. Thank you so much for these kind words about words bringing comfort and care and support. I want to say a few of you, you've written on your comments here, and I want to thank my colleagues. There's a team of people here helping me out here tonight. So many of you have written that you're praying for me and praying for my family. I want you to know how much that means to me. It's very touching. I'm going to get to one more about what am I most excited about, and I can see that we're already running out of time. And I'm just going to take this last one, and I know we've got some housekeeping items. And before I take this last question, I want to say again that there's opportunities to continue to engage with us by email in a number of different ways. So I know that we're not going to get to everything that people have said here. But here's what I'm looking forward to is I'm looking forward to continue to meet the people. The people. I shared with you a few moments ago that I've loved Valparaiso University my whole life. My whole life. And since January 1st, I have learned to love it even more because I've met more of you. And when you meet the people of Valpo, our students, our faculty, our staff, our community partners, our alumni around the country and around the world, it is so inspiring. And I think about you. I think about you every morning when I wake up with my morning prayers. I think about you every evening before I go to bed, before my evening prayers, and I ask for the strength, the guidance, and the faith to serve well. Because as I hear from you, I hear about your passion for this place, your passion, your love, your energy. And I look forward to working with you to continue to harness that energy that you have, that passion that you have, that love that you have for this place. And that together we continue to build momentum in the direction of our mission. At the end of the day, when we take a step back from it, when we think about why it is that we are here, I am convinced we are building lives for good. We are deepening our Lutheran roots. We are expanding our public reach. We are helping our students to learn for life. We are helping our students to serve our world. We are helping our students to shine God's light. And we can say with boldness that the world needs more Valparaiso University graduates. We can say this. And if we believe that the world needs more Valpo graduates, then it is my responsibility with your help and guidance and feedback and support to ensure that we enroll more students into this mission, that we retain more students into this mission, and that through our amazing faculty, our amazing staff, that we have an environment where people can teach and learn together, and we can impact this world for good. From the very beginning of this conversation, I talked to you about that thermostat. And that, I believe, is not just our calling in leadership, but That is our role as a university. And if we do what we do well, and if we graduate more students into this world, it will change our world. And that will be us as a community answering God's calling for our lives. And that when our day comes, we too can hear God say, "Well done, good and faithful servant." So I want to thank you so much for your time. I am going to turn it back over. I believe that Lori might have some final housekeeping items. I want to say thank you again to all of you. It is such a joy to be with you, and I'm going to turn it back to Lori. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Reverend Konkol, for all of your thoughts, your words, your leadership on the future of Valpo. I think I can speak for a lot of alumni as well as staff and faculty and parents that were here with us tonight, that I think we're all eager to partner with you as you help us and Valparaiso University continue to build lives for good. So thank you very much for tonight. And thank you to everyone that attended. Again, we appreciate what you do to stay involved with Valpo. We really do. So just a few more little pieces as we wrap up tonight. We are 1 week away from Valpo Day. So April 8th, we will be celebrating our 13th consecutive year for Valpo Day. So this is a great opportunity to support academic programs, student success, scholarships, athletics, so much more. So you've probably already seen a few things on social media, perhaps in your email box, maybe something in your mailbox. So keep an eye out for that day, and we would love to have you celebrate our love for Valpo on that day. Looking a little further into the future, Homecoming and Family Weekend is the weekend of September 25th through the 27th. And you will not want to miss Reverend Konkol's inauguration. That will be occurring on Friday afternoon, September 25th, and we will have a campus and community celebration following that. So we will be sending more details out to everybody soon. Tomorrow, you will receive an email from me from the alumni office to go over and to remind you about some of the topics that we discussed tonight, ways that you can volunteer with us, ways that you can give and share your stories. And if you want to, and I know we couldn't get to everybody's thoughts tonight, but if you will email us at alumni@valpo.edu, and again, I will include that in the email. Please send us questions and feedback and thoughts that you have from tonight. And of course, we'll be emailing you when the recording of tonight's webinar becomes available. So thank you again for attending tonight, and go Valpo. Good night.